Imagine a box arrives on your doorstep. Inside are old cassette tapes. On them, a voice you know explains why they're gone forever. It's a premise that haunted a generation, from a novel by Jay Asher to a screen adaptation backed by Selena Gomez. But beyond the story, it's the feeling that remains, the finality of a one-way conversation, a story you can listen to but never reply to. It makes you wonder about the cost of turning away from someone's pain, of creating that final, quiet distance, the impulse to push someone away, or to let yourself be pushed away, is a familiar feeling. By the end of this, you'll see that push differently. You might realize it's not always a wall being built. Sometimes it's a hand reaching out in the dark. The echo in the room. Have you ever tried to outrun an echo? You know it's just a sound bouncing back, but you run anyway. You turn up the music, you fill the quiet, because the silence is where you hear it most clearly, which is why we get so good at avoiding it. But sometimes the past doesn't just echo, it gets delivered. It comes with instructions. And there's always someone, a kind of Tony Padilla in your life, who makes it their job to ensure you listen. They hand you the device. They press play. You're alone in your apartment, late. The only light is the cold glow from the screen. And the voice that starts playing isn't yelling. It's not accusing you of some great betrayal. It's worse. It's quiet. It calmly lists things you'd forgotten you did. It reminds you of the time you saw her, the Jessica Davis of your own story, looking lost in the grocery store aisle, and you quickly turned your cart the other way. It plays back the notification sound of a text you read, a long paragraph she had clearly agonized over, that you simply never answered. It brings up the sound of your own laugh, joining in on a joke at her expense, just to fit in, just for a second. Each memory is a tiny paper cut, insignificant on its own. You'd hardly even notice it. But the voice doesn't stop. And together, all those little moments start to bleed. Your first instinct isn't to listen closer. It isn't to understand. It's to slam the laptop shut, to make the voice stop. Not because it's lying, but because it's telling a truth you can't bear. You aren't just hearing her story. You're hearing yours. You're hearing the quiet recording of your own regrets. This is why you push her away. Not the person, not anymore. You're pushing away her ghost. The unbearable echo of who you were and what you wish you weren't. This is the wall you build when you're alone. But the strongest walls, the ones that last for years, you never build those by yourself. The fortress of us. But then, something changes. You're not alone anymore. You start to see them, the others, the ones who also heard that voice, the one that can't be answered. You find each other without even trying. It happens in the spaces between classes, a look held a second too long in a loud hallway. It happens in a parking lot after dark, the two of you standing under the weak orange glow of a single lamppost, saying nothing that matters. Just breathing the same cold air. You don't talk about what happened, of course not. You talk around it. You build a new secret language, made of quiet nods and half-finished sentences that the other person always understands. An entire conversation happens in the small silence when someone asks, "It's crazy, right?" And the other just looks down at their shoes. This shared secret becomes its own story, a fragile one you all agree to protect. And this is why anyone who wasn't there feels like a danger. Their innocence is a threat. They ask simple questions that feel like accusations. A friend you used to have sends a text. A well-meaning teacher pulls you aside. "How are you holding up?" they ask, their face full of concern. The question isn't a kindness. It's a test, a trap, because the honest answer, the real one, would shatter the fragile story you're all clinging to. It would break the pact. So you give a short, empty answer. You lie. And you're not the only one. Suddenly, you see the same lie reflected everywhere. You see it in Justin Foley trying to act tough by the gym doors. You see it in Zach Dempsey, who just nods and walks away when a coach asks if he's okay. You're a group now, a fortress of us. And so you build a wall to keep the story safe. Not a wall of bricks, but of silence, of shared excuses and perfectly timed glances away. You tell yourselves you're keeping the world out, that you're protecting this shared thing from judgment. But that isn't what's happening. You're just locking yourselves in, together, trapped inside the story with the very echo you were trying to escape. And once you're all inside, you start to realize something. The silence isn't enough. Just being quiet together won't hold the walls up for long. You have to do more. You have to start acting. The Performance of Innocence. But then the whispers get louder. The secret you kept locked away is suddenly everywhere. And now there are adults involved. Questions under fluorescent lights that hum a single tired note. Your father looks at you from across the kitchen table. He's a cop, and tonight he isn't your father. He's just a cop, searching your face, not for you, for the truth. And you can't meet his eyes, because if you did, he might see it, the flicker of what really happened, the memory of a final push into dark water. This is when pushing people away stops being a reflex. It becomes a strategy. Every conversation is now a deposition. Every "I'm fine" is a quiet plea to just stop asking. You start avoiding the friends who knew you before. Not because you don't miss them, but because they are a threat. They remember the person you were, and that memory is now evidence against the person you must become. Their simple presence feels like an accusation. This isn't about your feelings anymore. It's about what they can prove. Your life is a stage now, and you're rehearsing for the most important role you'll ever play, the one who has nothing to hide. You wish you could just record the real story, your voice on an old cassette tape, and make them listen, uninterrupted. But there is no tape. There are only their questions, and your performance, and the person you push away the hardest is the one you used to be. That person is a ghost, a dangerous witness to your own past. All that shame, all that anger you're holding back to stay in character, it has to go somewhere. It starts to curdle. It starts looking for a way out. The poison turns outward. That performance of being innocent, it has a cost. Because the guilt you push down doesn't just vanish. It sits there, and it curdles. it turns into something else entirely, something hot and sharp. You can feel it, can't you? A pressure building behind your eyes, a constant low hum of a machine you can't turn off. You've been holding it all in for so long, the fear, the shame, and then one day it happens. Maybe a stranger looks at you the wrong way in the grocery store, or someone cuts you off in traffic on the way home from work. And the dam breaks. The rage that comes out of you is completely out of proportion. It's a noise you didn't know your body could make. It shocks you. It's not about them, not really. It's about the echoing silence in Tony's house after his family was deported. It's about the secret of Tyler's rifle at the school dance, the questions that hang in the air long after the crisis seems to be over. You spent all this energy trying not to be the villain in your own story. You were so afraid of someone pointing a finger and seeing you as the cause of the pain. But now, you're the one screaming at a stranger in their car. You're the one making someone else's day a little bit worse, a little more frightening. The quiet, defensive act of pushing people away has become a loud, offensive attack. You were so worried about being seen as the bad guy, and in the process, you started acting like one. But all that anger is just a symptom. It's the loud noise you're making to drown out a much quieter truth. The Unspeakable Truth. Now, the story felt finished. The blame was assigned. The roles were set. There was a villain, a victim, and the rest of you caught somewhere in between. You thought the worst was over. You thought just knowing the truth was the final step. Then your phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text, not from the old group. It's from the new girl, Ani, the one who saw things you couldn't. It's only a few words, but they scramble the world. It's about him, the one everyone agreed was the villain. The one whose guilt made your own feel just a little bit lighter. And now, you learn he was broken, utterly, in a way that feels terrifyingly familiar. Just like that, the entire story shatters. The clean lines you drew between good and bad, they bleed together into a gray, horrifying mess. There is no simple villain anymore. Not anymore. And you look at the others, maybe in a quiet hallway or across a crowded cafeteria. You see it. That same cold panic you feel in your own stomach. But then you see Jessica trying to build something from the wreckage, starting that survivors club, turning her pain into a voice, while the rest of you, you're falling silent. The story isn't just about what happened to her. It's about what happened after. It's about the pressure, the pointing fingers, the whispers that followed him down the hall every single day. The part you all played. This is a different kind of pushing away. It's not about a person. It's about a fact. A terrible, shared one. And to survive this, you have to agree not to see it. You have to push your own memory down so deep it can't breathe. You have to build a new story, together, in the silence. A lie so big, it feels like it could swallow all of you. You cut the wire between one action and the next. You pretend it isn't there. But when you push a truth that large out of your mind, you create an empty space, and something always moves in to fill it. The Final Occupant. You see them in the grocery store, aisle 7, by the cereal, and for a moment, the world goes quiet. The music fades. The squeak of shopping cart wheels disappears. It's just you and them, a ghost from another life standing under the fluorescent lights. Your heart does that familiar, tight little squeeze. A switch flips in your brain. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You could keep walking, nod, maybe even force a small, tight-lipped smile, acknowledge the shared space, the shared air, the shared past. But you don't. You turn your cart sharp and silent. You head for the dairy section. Your eyes are fixed on the expiration dates on the milk cartons. You become intensely interested in yogurt. You tell yourself it's just easier. It avoids the awkwardness, the dredging up of things that are better left buried. It's a small act of self-preservation, but it's not the first time, is it? This is a skill you've perfected. The quick turn down a different street. The sudden fascination with a shop window. The phone that suddenly needs your full attention. You've become an expert at not being seen. Each time you do it, you think you're dodging a bullet. You're saving yourself from a painful 5 minutes. But you're not dodging anything. You're just putting it in your pocket for later. That avoided moment doesn't vanish. It calcifies. It becomes a small, smooth stone you carry with you. And you collect these stones from everywhere. You even collect them from stories. You remember watching that show, the one about the tapes, and how, after everything, you had to watch Justin Foley die. How he finally found a family, a reason to keep going, and then he was just gone. A quiet, unfair ending. And that feeling, that ache for a character on a screen, it teaches you the same lesson. Hope is fragile. So when you see a real ghost in aisle 7, the instinct is the same. And over the years, the stones get heavy. The effort of avoidance starts to cost more than the pain you're avoiding. It's a constant, low-level hum of vigilance, always scanning the horizon, always ready to disappear. You think you're running from a memory, from a person, from a mistake, but you're not. You're running from a feeling. The problem is you can't outrun your own body. The feeling lives there, in that tight squeeze in your chest, in the tension in your shoulders. You haven't buried the past. You've just buried yourself alive with it. The person in aisle 7 isn't the threat, they're just a reminder. A mirror showing you the cage you've built for yourself, one small avoidance at a time. The real weight isn't the memory. It's the lifelong effort of pretending it isn't there. So what would happen if you just stopped? If you just stood still and let the awkward moment wash over you? What if you finally let yourself feel it for 5 whole minutes instead of carrying it for the next 5 years? That box on the doorstep, it doesn't just disappear when the story is over. The show leaves a difficult silence, and that silence is the answer. There are no easy fixes for someone's pain. You can't rewind the tape. You can't go back and make a different choice. The only thing you have is right now, the decision in this moment not to turn away, not this time. If this gave you a moment to reflect, perhaps you'll find another in our thoughts on being alone.